What's good? My name is Sasha Cole, and this is the Ladcast. Today, I have a dope episode for you with Brandan Craig. Brandan is a 16-year-old American who just signed his first professional contract with the Philadelphia Union. Make sure to follow us on our different social medias and subscribe, TikTok, everywhere, stuff like that. Links in the description. Thanks and enjoy the episode. Squad out. Today, I'm joined by Brandan Craig, a towering British American center back who's made it through the Philadelphia Union Academy to become the youngest ever Union 2 captain. Brandan just recently signed a professional contract with the Philadelphia Union, joining a list of esteemed homegrown prospects from Philly, including Brendan Erickson and Mark McKenzie. First of all, congratulations and welcome onto the pod.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So, speaking on your contract, have you gotten around to spending your check yet, or are you saving up?
Nah, everything starts in January, so haven't gotten much yet, but yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna pick out yet, but I mean, it's definitely gonna be something special, something that I'll always remember. So, but I mean, that'll happen in January.
Yeah, which is surprising, just like a couple of days away already.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you in January? Do you get to sort of like get around and just start training, or is that sometime later due to like MLS stuff?
I'm not definitely sure yet. I've been training like on my own and in the gym at the Union's facility with a lot of the first team staff, and just getting to know a lot of them. But that's mainly gym work rather than on the field stuff because it's there's still snow on the ground here, snow on the field, so I can't really fields without like killing the grass or anything. But I've been trying to do as much lifting and conditioning work as possible.
Well, yeah, that's exciting, really cool. I'm in New Jersey, but I study at Drexel, which is in Philadelphia, so I'll be in Philly in a couple of weeks. But yeah, very exciting to hopefully catch a game in the near future and see you starting in the starting 11. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's run it back to your younger days of playing. From as early as 11 years old, you were part of the Union Academy, and so being a Philly native, was the Union always a dream of yours?
Oh yeah, definitely. I grew up watching them like since the beginning of their basically their foundation. About 10 years ago when they just started at Lincoln Financial Field, playing against, I think the first game was against DC. Then I remember watching that game and just dreaming about like, oh, I would love to play there in front of 70,000 fans, even though our new stadium only holds just a 20,000. But still playing in front of 20,000 fans is a lot better than playing in front of nobody. But yeah, it was always a dream of mine. And ever since I've been in the academy and now the second team, it's a lot close. I'm a lot closer now to that dream. But it's still technically a dream because I still haven't had to do it yet. But I'm still pushing for it.
Right, of course, and potentially something else that you had been dreaming about that actually began when you were at 14. So your U.S. Youth National Team career also began when you were 14 with the camp in Croatia. This was the culmination of your progress in the academy. How'd you react when you got the call that you'd be in the squad?
Yeah, I was actually after training one day. The coach pulled me aside and was like, "You're going to Croatia." I was like, "Oh!" That initial reaction was surreal. Like it was an amazing feeling, going to a competition as prestigious as like a youth national team tournament and playing against other youth national teams. It's something that I'll never forget. Even my first couple caps, and now that I have like, I think I have 8 or 9 of them now, so I'm more experienced in that realm. But there's still a lot of stuff to grow on, and I'm still pushing for the U17 World Cup. Like that's one of my main goals for this upcoming year. If it's still going to be played, because you never know about COVID and anything like that. I mean, I'm still pushing for that though.
Yeah, can you sort of like talk about the first taste of the national team was like, traveling abroad and playing with the best guys in your age group?
Yeah. So my first ever camp was exactly about 2 years ago, maybe like 2 weeks. It was like the first week in January.
Yeah.
It was like a summit of like all the teams. And then it was like U20 to like U16, but then like my team was U15. And then we went down to, I believe it was like Sunset, Florida, which is like right outside Miami. And it was like a 48 kid camp. So there was a lot of players, just say four in every single position. So there was a lot of competition, but a lot of it was healthy competition. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to injure you just because I want to play, or it's not like that. It's a lot of healthy competition, pushing each other to do better, but also um, having that like grit and everything to make sure that you're the best out there. Like you wanna show yourself very well at national team camps, and even in when you're in domestically or internationally, you still want to play your best. And you still want to represent your country, represent your city, family, club, everybody. Everybody that's like wishing you well, you want to play well for them. And then I recently, well, not recently, but I went to the Torneo de Nazioni, which is basically like a
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
tournament in Italy. And that was a very special trip.
Yep.
Because
More on that later. We'll talk about that.
yeah, I'll talk about that later then.
Yeah. So in these camps and stuff, have you like created these like friendships with maybe the guys in your same position, or just in the from the U20 to not just in your squad, but the all the age groups as you just said. Are you able to like create your networks and friendship and guys who you keep in touch with there?
Yeah, especially guys who I play against a lot. Like I've played
Okay.
against Bulls, DC, NYCFC, New England. I play against all them guys, and I go to camp with them, and it's like um, we have a nice bond. And most of the times we play like sometimes in national team camps we play like East versus West or Central versus.
Mm.
Like have like a round robin tournament, so that's how you help bond with other like teammates of yours, but also like rivals. But your rivals on the field for club level, not country level. You're still fighting for a spot in the youth national teams.
Yeah.
And we're still pushing each other to get better every single day, especially for a week that we're out there. And it's the best of the best.
How did the Northeast do in these round robin tournaments?
Yeah, we're pretty good. We
Good,
like
nice.
a lot of the Union kids, a lot of the Red Bulls kids, NYCFC. We do really well, and we even mix with the Atlanta kids and the Orlando kids. So it's tough. I mean, Central's good. I mean, all three regions are very very good. So it's still nice though.
Good to hear. Good to hear. So, moving swiftly forward. So, back at home at Philadelphia, you continue to progress. While some of your friends had maybe their minds on Fortnite, your life was primarily on the pitch. What was this level of grind like? Constantly playing or thinking of playing, and in the meantime, sleeping in homework.
So I mean, there's a good thing. There's a very good thing about Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Union Academy. So we have our own school,
Right.
academy. So we get to go. We have morning training from just say 8:30 to 10. Then you go to school from 10:30 to 2:30, and then you have training from like 3 to 4:30. So and then after that you go home. So for me, I live about 30 minutes away from Wayne, PA. So I would like wake up at like 7 in the morning and then leave. Obviously eat breakfast and stuff, but I straight up leave. And then obviously have training, then school, and then another training, and then I wouldn't get home until about just say 6 o'clock. So I wouldn't get home until 6 o'clock, and then by that time, I had a lot of like not too much homework because a lot of it we have a lot of downtime in school. So like just for kids who live just say an hour away in like South Jersey, we have a lot of South Jersey kids, so that they can get home in a reasonable hour and still do their homework. Like they don't want to get home at let's say 8 o'clock and then they have 2 hours worth of homework and then they got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning the next day to do the same thing over and over again. So what our academy does and what our school and our like school founder does is just a lot of time management, and it's a lot about it's still passion for learning. Like our philosophy is still a passion for learning. Like you still want to learn. And you have to treat school just like soccer too. Like if you're misbehaving in school, then like just say you'll sit training, and nobody wants to ever sit training. So you don't want to misbehave. Like there's times where you can laugh and everything, but you don't want to misbehave too much or get in trouble.
Yeah, definitely. Philly Union is really special in that they're relatively very unique in the academy setup that they have the different schools. Do you believe that this is maybe the the future of not only like clubs in the MLS and such, but possibly even for like the USDA such like that, and the future of progression of youth in our country?
Yeah, so I think a lot of the MLS clubs will start to adopt a schooling at least partner,
Mm,
maybe not a direct school
sure.
just for the academy kids, but at least like a partner. Like I believe FC Dallas has a partner, or
Yeah.
Orlando has a partner. So they have like special classes that the academy players take. But I think it's just something for US soccer as a whole to get these kids a good education while getting these kids a very good academy structure, organization, and even like career.
Mm, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it's all about just like accommodating soccer players and giving them the opportunities to do well in school and also in you know on the field, which like you said with the part about the discipline part side, that they could have a lot of great effects in the future and
Mm.
increase the development. Speaking of development, and again towards the U.S. national team. So right in spring 2019, you participated at the Tournament of Nations in Italy and Slovenia. How do you recall playing against these talented youth in a tournament like that?
So it was very tough. Like I remember when we got Drew into our group, and it was India. We played India first, and Slovenia, then Mexico. So it was weird flying like 4,000 miles and playing a
Hmm,
team that's on your border.
hmm,
But it's still it was a very good match. Well, not really a good match, but a rivalry match. So it was very tough, very physical. Um, but they got the better of us that game. And mainly due to the fact that like the Italian pitches aren't the best, but
hmm.
and the referee, but that's no excuse. We still should have performed better. But um, that whole trip was very, very interesting and very nice, actually. Like very, very cool. Even off the field, like the scenery and everything in Italy and Slovenia, it's insane. And even on the field, like when we were playing against Mexico, we felt like a team of national pride
Hmm.
and trying to beat your rivals. And then in the following game, we played England. We beat them in PKs. So that was always good because I'm like my dad's from England and I have like citizenship in England.
Right.
So it was nice beating them. Um, and then in the last game, I believe we beat Norway, which they were very, very technical and very, very good on the ball. And we played very well defensively that game. Very, very well. But yeah, everything was just a whole learning experience for me and for the whole team and even for the coaching staff and everybody. Just all big learning experience for all of us playing in our first like tournament to actually try and win it.
Hmm.
Um, so I mean, ultimately Mexico won the final, but that's not really big news. Just don't
What are
ever
you gonna do?
tell that.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, getting called into a camp for the U.S. is something like one thing special, of course, but,
Mm.
competing in an tournament like this where, there are potential like scouts, people watching you is something new altogether. Did you feel this like really step up and it was a different environment than maybe some of the smaller competitions and such?
Oh yeah, definitely. Just because of the fact that I came from GA Cup literally like the week before
Hmm.
our union team played in GA Cup, and then like a day after I got home from GA Cup, I had to go on a flight to Italy and then play in this tournament. So I mean, there was a lot of scouts at GA Cup, and then there were a lot of scouts here in Italy and Slovenia. So I mean, it's a little bit of added pressure, obviously playing for your country and then playing in front of uh, scouts where you might end up at their club. Like if you play really, really well, they could send you in for a trial, and then
Hmm.
they really like you there, and then they sign you there. So it can really be a career changer for a lot of players. Um, so but there's a little bit of added pressure, but you don't need to worry about that. That's not that important right now. Like teams more important, especially at that tournament. So you should really just focus on that. And then if the team plays well, then you'll play well. So that's the main goal.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, certainly, yeah, makes sense. So around this time, you also happened to actually trial at Liverpool over a few week period. How was that? How was that experience?
That was something that I'll truly never forget. Like that was a once in a lifetime experience. And that's something that I will remember every single detail of that trip, just because it was so special to me and my dad who actually went over there. So we were both Liverpool fans growing up.
Uh, that,
It was
that's
better
brilliant.
that
Yeah.
yeah, it was even better that that was the club that asked for a trial. And I actually did really, really well there. And they really, really liked me. So, but I was only 15 at the time, so they couldn't really do much because the FIFA window is
Mm,
16 or older. So even if you had a passport, even if you had British
mm.
citizenship, so it was still you had to wait like a year and a half. So um and since now they congratulated me on signing with the union, so it's a big thank you to them, especially for giving me that opportunity and then congratulating me after it. Um, but you never know of a future cross paths with them. You never know.
Sure.
That's obviously the goal. Like my goal is obviously to
Yeah.
get to Premier League, play in a Champions League game or playing a
Hmm.
Champions League final, win a bunch of trophies.
Yeah.
That's the individual stuff that I want to do. And obviously, I want to play in a World Cup. You know, would love to win a World Cup, especially in our backyard in 2026.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean,
Hmm.
there are a few goals of mine.
Yeah. Do you remember like maybe like playing with some players in the Liverpool academy that maybe you're seeing right now, like sort of stepping onto the field, or was it sort of maybe like 1 or 2 years out of that scenario?
So it was U16. So I was playing with a team of well, a year above me. So I was playing with a lot of 2003s,
Okay.
but I was still like just as physically gifted and as talently gifted as them. So I really fit in well. And I see now some of them are making their steps forward to the U23s and
Hmm.
uh, playing and training with the first team, playing under Klopp. Like I can only imagine what that like. Like that's insane. So, but I mean, it's good for them because they have an academy pathway to pros that we're trying to do, like
Mhm.
from our youth academies to our academy to our second team and then to our first team. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to be like a European model
Mhm.
in MLS. For an example, for the MLS, like it's basically just Dallas did it first. Dallas sold a lot of their players, and
Yeah.
now we're trying to beat them out and trying to be number one. But we're definitely up there for one of the best academies and then pathway to pros in the U.S.
Yeah. Well, you yourself actually took that next step to the path to professional, before of course your professional contract. In summer 2020, at 16 years old, you earned a spot on the Philadelphia Union second team, which competes in the USL Championship, which is the second tier of American soccer. At this level, you're playing against guys twice your age in a real competition. Union Two's average squad is something like 17. It's really just the youth versus the world. How did you experience
Yeah,
this first season of competitive football against, yeah, right, guys who are a lot older than you?
yeah. So it was very very tough, especially in the beginning when I made my first minutes, my first debut. Um, Everything that was very very tough because I played against Red Bulls, and we were like 2-0 down at halftime, and we were like gutted, and
Mm,
it just wasn't good. And it was a very hard game to come into, especially a rivalry game that was like the conditions and everything. Like it was like an hour pushed back because of the rain, and everything was like flooded. So it wasn't a great day, but it was definitely something that I'll carry on my resume. Like Um, it was very tough. Like they were very good. And they got the better of us 3 times out of the 4 times we played them, and then we got the better of them the second time we played them at home. And then we don't want to talk about the third game, but yeah, and then that helped me grow as a player, and especially against older competition. Like Red Bulls weren't that much older than me, but still like a good 5 to 6 years
Yeah.
ahead of me. But then like you play against Pittsburgh and you play against Hartford, and especially down in Tampa, playing against the Rowdies. Those guys are like beasts compared to us. Like we had a few guys that were under like 5'10", and then they were going against center backs that were 6'4", 200
Yeah.
pounds. So it's physically demanding, especially playing against guys that are twice your age. That's just how it is. But it's all a learning experience, especially for most of like because most of our team is academy. So it was a lot about just learning, getting your first minutes. The results really didn't particularly matter; just the performances were.
Hmm.
Like, like a lot. A couple games we put in really, really good performances and didn't get the result, but that's it. Like our goal is not to make the playoffs every year. Our goal is to build players and send them to the first team, and then sell them abroad like Brendan Aronson. So, like I specifically remember a game down in Tampa where it was rained out for about 4 hours, and then we started it. We kicked off at like midnight, and like the odds were just so much against us. Like fans that because they had fans down in Florida, so
Okay.
like the odds were like against us, and we gave up like two not so good goals. And then but we fought through. We held them to a 2-0 result, which wasn't that bad in our books. And then we had to get on a plane, play 2 days later against Red Bulls, and then that was when life wasn't so good after that result. But everything's just a learning experience for Union too.
Yes. How is this environment of playing and a team so young, competing against veteran professionals? The union really is about right, as you said, pushing that youth mentality and getting your players abroad. What can you say on that?
Um, yeah, it's very tough. We have the youngest team in probably all of professional sports. Like no USL team, no MLS team is as young as us. But that's just our model. That's our pathway. We want to give kids and academy kids challenges and see how they adapt and react. And especially when we're playing against guys, obviously twice our age, who are just bigger, faster, stronger, better than us. Like, so let's see how we react. Um, but overall, the season was not a total success or failure. It was an in between. We got obviously 5 academy kids signed to homegrown deals, so that was a success from us. But I mean, results wise, it was not the
Yep.
best, but results don't matter for us. So that was our biggest thing.
In your experience of playing not only with with the academy, the U.S. national youth national teams, and again like the union, how do you compare the USL Championship? It's a growing league, definitely. Down the line there could be the league that MLS partners with to eventually create a pro rel. But yeah, how do you rate the league, and yeah, how is the quality of the gameplay and such?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a very good league. It's obviously the step right under USL. A lot of MLS 2 teams playing it. Like
Right.
there's way too many to even count on my fingers. There's obviously like Rebel 2, Galaxy 2. They're the most like Real Monarchs. But they can go up against teams like Louisville, like Indy 11, like Tampa
Or
Bay
like
Raptors,
North
Charleston,
Carolina.
North Carolina. Like they can go against teams like that because they're much older and they don't have the same pathway as us. Like they bring in
Yeah.
kids from college. Like our biggest thing was like we integrate the youth, like the actual youth from our academy, not we integrate youth from college. Like we don't draft anybody. Like then that's our philosophy. When our sporting director came in, he was like, we are investing in the youth, and then we're not doing anything with these college kids because like they need to learn. They would have to have just say a year to learn our system when our academy kids have learned it their whole entire career so far. So that was our biggest thing. And then obviously USL, very good league. It's right up there. I think that eventually it'll partner with the MLS for a pro rel just because I think it would be a fun thing to do and it would be a lot of people would be interested in it. Like it would make competition even like better.
Yeah.
But I don't know when it will be, but I can see it happening. I don't know. That's just something that the front offices of both leagues will have to agree on.
Right. And so on a more personal achievement, so in the USL season championship on September 16th at 16 years and 149 days old, you became the youngest ever captain for the Union 2. What sort of emotions did you experience on the day to bear such an honor?
Yeah, so it was quite of a shock for me going into the locker room. Like I remember like that initial moment, like I was just walking into our stadium and then walking into our Unit 2 locker room, and as I walk in the door and I see my jersey and I just look up and right above the jersey it's the armband, and I'm just like I was like at first I was shocked. I was like, geez, that's insane. And then so I took a picture, obviously posted on like Instagram, Snapchat, stuff like that. And then I texted it to my dad. And I texted it into the family group chat, and then my dad was like he was like 10 minutes later because he didn't see it at first. He was just like, oh, it's his normal jersey. And then he calls me and he goes, wait, are you captain tonight? I'm like, yeah, you didn't see that? He was like, no, I just didn't pay attention to it. I was like, oh, great. But yeah, definitely a very good moment, like a very surreal moment. But it was a tough game. That was a very tough game against Atlanta. But one that I had a really good performance in, and one that I felt like that was a special moment for me, especially being captain and ultimately not getting the win, but putting in a very good team performance as well as an individual performance.
Yeah, I mean, it is really an honor. Yeah, young captains like I believe was it De Ligt, captain for Ajax. Special. It's a special honor, and that leadership quality is really is wanted these days. So your leadership and your growth as a player eventually led to your signing to the Union. So on November 12th, 2020, you along with your teammate Quinn Sullivan became the 16th and 17th homegrown signings in the club history. How do you remember the day?
Yeah, so I remember the day because it was canceled a couple times because of the rain and the conditions.
Yeah.
So usually we take pictures on the field and like inside
Mm-hmm.
like a box suite and everything, but we couldn't because of the rain, and like it was just an overall bad week for weather conditions wise. But it was still a very special moment for me and my family, and a true honor for my family and obviously myself, and Quinn and his family too. And like most of the academy staff was there taking pictures, and the first team staff was there too. So it was a very special moment, and one that I'll truly like never ever forget. Like I'll never forget that day.
Were you used to sort of like the media attention and coverage that you had to do?
Yeah, so I did interviews with local um, newspapers before, and as well as like interviews for like post game interviews. Like I did one against Atlanta when I was named captain, and I think I did it a couple of times against when I got my first goal, when I got my debut, like stuff that I was used to it. So it wasn't that big of a challenge, but I mean, still like the hundreds of notifications that I got from old coaches, from ex teammates of mine, from like teammates, and even from first team players. Just congratulating me and welcoming me to the squad.
Is sort of like media coverage and stuff that maybe in like a soccer specific academy school like you are, did they sort of like teach you about that, or was that like all on your own learning?
Yeah, that's all from instinct, basically.
Nice.
They don't do much, especially just because it's not really a thing that like they teach, because like only some kids would be able to do it. So, but it's basically all from instinct for me.
Sure. Did you ever believe that you'd be there on that day, a professional player at the Union?
Um, it was a very humble moment, especially for me and my family. I always wanted to become a professional soccer player, and I dreamed about it, and I grinded every single day, and I put in 100% effort every day, even every single week, every single game, training, everything. I put in top effort in. And that's what was one of my goals. That was the initial goal, the goal that sets everything up. Um, so I was just very glad to finally be a pro now.
So, sort of taking into account the overall game of yours, though you're primarily a center back, you've added experience as a six and also even a right back in recent years. How has your sort of approach of the different positions added to your growth as a player and aspirations towards the future?
Yeah, so obviously versatility within a player is very very good and essential for any kind of team. Like you look at the hundreds of players that play in, just say, MLS, La Liga, Premier League, Bundesliga. They like most of them are versatile and they can play two plus positions. Like very rarely do you just have one guy, unless
Mm,
like he's that good, like a Van Dyke, like he'll
mm,
just. But if you look at, just say, Fabinho, and
hmm.
he's like
Yeah.
six for Liverpool, but since Van Dijk is injured now, he's got a slot in center back. So it's very good to have versatility. And I don't play right back that often anymore. Like I had my debut there just because one of our right backs was hurt, so I had to come in and play there. But then, like the next following game, I played center back, so that was very nice. But I've kind of like flip flop, and especially in the Union Two season. But primarily, I played center back. But I still was still able to play six in some games, but not too many. Just playing a lot as a center back, and that's actually the one of the most asked questions from everybody that I've talked to, like whether that be first team coaches, Union Two coaches, national team coaches, just anything like that. It's always like, hey, like what's your best position? What do you think is your best? Like, what's your long term position gonna be? So I'm really used to that question.
Yeah, although I'm not a Philadelphia Union player. I myself, I'm like, I don't know what my position is. I just enjoy playing everywhere. But right,
Yeah.
specialization definitely is important. It does help, but flexibility also important. So, if you were to speak with your younger self, what advice could you give?
I would say, one, never give up. Just never ever give up. Like once the day that you give up is the day that you hang your boots up and you call it a career. That is when you'll give up. You may have little instances where you don't believe in yourself, but still, never ever just give up. Always give 100% effort. Um, Even if you're down playing bad or you're playing very very well, you just have to keep that level. And another thing is just, you just don't have any regrets. Regrets are a waste of time. You can't change the past, so why think about it? um, and just always look to the future. Even though it's not guaranteed, you still want to live in the present and but look and set goals for the future. Because that's what you do. You set goals for what you want to do in 10 years. Like I saw Matthew McConaughey when he won an Oscar, said, like, I always looked in 10 years, I set a goal and said I wanted to do this. And then when I got to that 10-year goal, people were like, "Oh, well, how do you celebrate this goal?" And he was like, "Well, I haven't reached my goal yet. It's in another 10 years."
Huh.
So he set it to an unattainable 10-year goal. Everything was just 10 years from advance, and he would never reach it. But it was fine because he gave that determination to try and reach that goal. And they're basically the two things I would say. Just never give up, and just keep, and even keep learning. Just learn from everything, like experiences. Practice makes perfect. Basically, that's what I would end it on.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Right. Yeah, it's really interesting that you say that about goals. I think goals are kind of maybe even underrated, right? That those who set the goals are the ones who actually attain them most of the time, and it really helps just to keep pushing yourself. Going forwards, what sort of path do you possibly see for the future of your career, and what do you hope to accomplish wherever it may be?
Yeah, so I would love to have a similar path as obviously Brendan Aronson.
Yeah,
He's been in my shoes. He's only 19, so he's not that much older than me, and he's already made the jump.
it's my
So
age.
that's going to be
Damn.
in 2 3 years. So that's definitely something I can see myself doing. But that is something that I'll have to push for, especially just push myself to do it because it's on an individual level. Like even though like obviously our first team did very very well this year, like our historical season, like best
Mhm.
season in our club's history, getting the supporter shield, um, but there were some individual accolades when the team plays really, really well. So that's what I want to do. First, help the team win, and then obviously help myself win in the long term.
Yeah, definitely. It's very possible. MLS is really pushing itself right now as a sliding club. Like Brian Reynolds, of course, Aronson, things like that. We are pushing that bounce where European clubs are interested. So one thing that I've been getting a lot of questions and people asking in wherever it may be on different outlets, they sort of are interested in making it in soccer in America. However, it is difficult, right? There is no sort of set path. Um, there are a lot of different ways and different paths, different technical, whether it be going through high school or academies. In your opinion, what is the way to make it in American soccer or football?
The academy is probably the best route, even though I wouldn't write off playing club and then going to an academy or right into a USL and then merging your way up. Basically, there's endless possibilities, but I would say definitely the one that has worked the most and has the best efficiency is through the academy.
Yeah, I think certainly academies. It's difficult because some of them are expensive, right? And the ones that aren't as expensive, where it's covered, are very cutthroat. You have to be the best of the best to make it there. I think in the future we are moving towards that path where academies are becoming more and more accessible. However, at this point, it is difficult. But football is a game where not everyone can make it, but definitely academies are one way you can potentially make it. On that topic, what do you believe is wrong with the American soccer system?
I think it's overlooked. A lot of European teams, like national teams or just club teams, just overlook the Americans, and,
Mm,
and it's like especially the MLS. Like if you look at Bartomeu, who was the club president of Barcelona just a few months ago, he had a chance to sign Alfonso Davies, and he said no, just because he's
mm,
Canadian, I won't sign him. Well,
mm.
that's not a real reason for you to sign him. Like he just basically was like, yeah, Canadian soccer isn't good. Well, he turned out to be one of the best
Yeah,
left, had one of the
crazy.
best left back seasons like ever. So he really ate his words there. But yeah, I think it's just overshadowed by like if everybody thinks of the U.S. if they think of American football, they think of baseball, they think of hockey, uh, basketball, all the other sports besides soccer. So I think that's what's um, letting U.S. soccer down. Like a lot of countries just don't see them as a very very good soccer country, but with the state of our men's national team and youth national teams now, I think we're definitely getting better and getting to the top level. Like I think there's no doubt that we qualify for the World Cup this time, and even have a chance to go far in it, depending
Mm.
on our group and how well we do. But I think it's definitely going to be up there. And it's just the beginning for a lot of the U.S. soccer guys, because the men's national team is a very young team. So I think it's just the beginning of a golden generation.
Yeah, yeah. I guess, yeah, you're right. Definitely golden generation time. So many of our prospects coming through. Really, really exciting time. Constantly, more than ever. It's like every single day someone's starting in the league. Zach Steffen started today for City. It's really a crazy scenario. So, just to sort of round things out, you speak highly actually of your younger brother Andrew, who is a prospect for the Union in the academy. What sort of a talent is he, and what do you think he could achieve in the future?
I think the path that he's on right now, the level that he's playing at, he will. He's already surpassed me as part of like when I was 13 playing for the U14s. He's already better than I was. So if he keeps up with his level of play and his dedication and hard work, um, he'll definitely be in my shoes. And hopefully, I always say it to him whenever he gets like really pissed at me for whenever like because we have a competitive like
Mm.
relationship. So like even today in the backyard, I was beating him up, like just beating him in every single game I played, just because I'm just older, more experienced, everything like that. And he was getting really mad at me, starting to kick me and all these things. But I was like, well, here's the thing: you may beat me one day, and that one day is when you will be better. So right now, just try and beat me as much as you can, because very rarely will it happen. And in a few years, it might happen. It might happen all the time. It may not happen all the time. You just don't know. But always look to beat me, because that's the thing. If you can beat me, and if you can like destroy me in these games, in these little small like 1v1 games, then you can do it against anybody. So I think he'll definitely have a very, very good career.
Yeah, younger brothers really are something special. I have a younger brother myself, and yeah, it's always that competitive edge. You and him going at it, uh, and they really have a competitive edge when it comes to all their life. They've known just keep trying, never give up, and
Mhm.
do it against all the odds. I always love to see brothers in soccer like the Longstaffs or Thiago and his brother. So in 2026, I'm looking forward to the Craigs on the pitch for the United States national team. It's going to be quite a sight. Brandon, thank you so much for your time. It's been an amazing interview. Talked through a bunch of interesting things. I hope the best for the future of your career in the U.S., abroad, Phil Union, wherever it may be. I'm sure you'll do very well. So good luck, although you won't need it, I'm sure.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. It's been an honor, pleasure, and thank you again. So, spot out.